Hey everybody, and welcome to my channel, Art of a Fairy. I am a fairy, otherwise known as Amanda, and today we will be talking about my digital hair painting process. Now, keep in mind, I am very, very new to digital painting as a whole. I've only been doing it now for a few months, and you guys can probably tell from looking at my paintings. But I wanted to share kind of my artistic journey here and, show that even though you're a beginner doesn't mean that you can't do awesome artwork that you aren't proud of. So for this painting that you can see me working on here, I'm using Easy Paint Tool Sai and my Wacom, however you say it, Bamboo Pen and Touch size small tablet, which was a gift from a friend, and I'm loving it so much. Yeah, so as far as digital art goes, I don't have a ton of experience. I used to mess around with a mouse with Paint Shop Pro and things like that when I was really young, like 13, and then I just completely wrote digital art off because drawing with a mouse is really difficult for me. A lot of people are great at it, some people are awful at it, but once I got my tablet is when I really understood, oh my god, digital painting, not just making digital lines and filling them in with colors, which I don't know about the rest of you guys, but for somebody like me, it's kind of difficult for me to see how I should paint something digitally when I'm so used to painting with an actual paint medium. So I struggled with that a bit, but I kind of wanted to share my journey here with you guys so you can see the different processes and techniques that I use. So the part that you can see right here, you can see I'm painting the hair kind of underneath her little piece of bangs in the back of her head, which let's just ignore the fact that she doesn't have an ear. I was just lazy and didn't want to freaking draw it. But if you look at the ponytail piece that looks like it's already finished next to that coming out of that bun, you can kind of see a difference in the painterly technique that I'm using there. The long ponytail coming down, I actually painted before I painted the rest of her hair. I don't know why. But, excuse me. But I actually put down some flat colors and blended them a little bit together for that long ponytail, which you can't see right now. And then I actually used a shade layer over that. I don't remember if it was shade or multiply, whatever, one of the two. And I used that to put in all the dark pieces and like the shading, and then I used, a luminosity layer or overlay, one of those two, for highlights in that hair. But then for the rest of her hair, I kind of took a different approach. As you can see here, I'm actually just painting with the different colors. And one piece of advice that I want to give you guys here would be regarding your brushes. Now, I don't have any fancy brushes at all that I use. I'm using the basic brush tool that came with Paint Tool Sai, and I'm just changing the density of the brush and the blending mode of the brush to make it either more opaque or make it so that it blends easier. And I change those settings constantly to make sure that I'm blending the hair and make sure that it's actually coming together and looking like real paint. And that was one of my biggest issues when I first started painting, was how do I get it to look like paint? It just looks like flat colors. And I realized that one of my issues was definitely overblending. And you might have heard of that before or seen it mentioned in other people's digital art videos, but blending everything together so it's a smooth gradation is not a good idea. Because in real life, if you look at your hand, it's not a perfectly smooth gradation everywhere. There's places where your skin may look mottled or little shadows appear, divots in your skin, things like that. If you look at your hair, it's not all flatly blended together perfectly. And your paintings shouldn't be either if you want them to look realistic. Now, I just figured that out, actually, even though I'd heard about overblending and whatnot before, but silly me had to go and overblend my last, 4 pieces. And then I painted this one and I was like, oh my god, it just clicked in my head. And I was like, okay, I get this now. But, so that's kind of where you see me just putting down different colors. And I'm just sampling different colors that are already blended from the area around it sometimes, but I actually like to use base colors and use my brush to blend them together so that they make those colors. And right here you can see where I'm changing the direction of the hair that goes up to her bun, because I realized it wasn't right. And so I'm kind of repainting over that to just make it look like her hair's pulled in the direction of that little bun. Because before it looked like her hair was just kind of falling down like her bangs, and that wasn't correct, if you know what I mean. So yeah, definitely make sure you're paying attention to the brushes that you use as well. The brush tool is definitely my favorite. And then I like to use the water tool and the, obviously the pen tool when I want to make really, really harsh lines and things of that nature. So as you can see here, painting for me is something that I really like to go back and kind of do in layers and sections and chunks. And I'll finish one section and be like, okay, that looks good. And then I'll go back and I'll put a little bit darker on it, a little bit darker on it, a little bit darker on it. And you know, it sounds silly, but that's the way that I paint in real life. I like glazing techniques with watercolor, and I like acrylic because you can build up a little bit of layers while it's still wet. I have not ever tried oil painting, so I can't speak on that, but I think I'd probably love it. But yeah, so you want to keep building up layers. And the best way for you to kind of see when and where you should stop with a layer of paint, or how deep you need your values to go, is to walk away from the piece and don't look at it for a while. I found that if I'm painting for 4 hours straight, I can't see the painting the right way anymore after a while, because my eye is just so trained to look at it the way that it is. So something that really helps me with painting, if you kind of want to step back and you don't have time maybe to just stop painting for a few hours and then come back to it, is take a picture of it with your cell phone. Like, hold your phone up to your computer screen and take a photo of it. And then don't look at it for, 10 minutes or something. And then go back and look at the photo you took. And for some reason, it just lights up everywhere that's wrong for me. And I'm like, oh my God, why couldn't I see that in the program? Maybe it's because you're seeing it from farther away or a different viewpoint from the camera. I don't know what it is, but it's really, really helpful for me personally. So I like to take photos and post them of my work in progress as I go along to like my Instagram, which you can follow me on at Art of A Farrey, or my Patreon and things of that nature, just so that I can kind of look at my progress, look back on my progress from my other paintings too and be like, okay, this is what I should have done differently. This is what I can change on this painting now because I'm still working on it. So you really want to be objective about your painting and always be in the mindset of learning, because that was something that took me a really long time to understand as well. Like, even with digital art, which I just started, there's this part of me that was like, whatever, I'll figure it out. But I wasn't really paying attention to the techniques I was using. I was just kind of screwing around with the program and having fun, which is fine. And that's a great way to learn. But for me, I needed to really focus on learning. And the best way for me to get better at digital art is a combination of both daily practice. Well, maybe not daily, if you can't practice that often, whatever. Practice as often as you can and watch as many tutorials and videos of just other people painting digitally. They don't even have to be explaining to you how to do it. Just watch the techniques that they use. Watch what brushes they're grabbing. Those things make all the difference. So, yeah, as far as her hair goes, you guys can still see me just basically playing around with the values here. And a value is really, really important with shading with hair, because if you don't put enough shadows in the hair, it's going to look flat. It's not going to look three-dimensional. And that's not any fun, But yeah, so one of the other things that I kind of wanted to touch on, which I did already mention a little bit, you see that ponytail, her right side ponytail that's falling down. I used a shade layer to do the shading instead of just painting the darkness in. And see here, I'm actually going in and putting in some darkness with the actual just brush tool instead of using just that shade layer, because the shade layer, while it's effective for what is called cell shading, I believe, I really wanted a more painterly, three-dimensional feel to this painting. I wanted something that looked like I actually painted it with paint instead of just being a digital cartoony piece. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys at all. I love cell shading. I'm just awful at it. I don't understand. There's just this need in me to blend it. You know what I mean? And while some cell shading is blended and it's a lot of hard shadows, for me, it's just easier to feel it out as a three-dimensional form. And, just over the course of my last couple paintings, I've definitely seen a lot of improvement with my colors and things like that. So just keep practicing. And then you guys can see here what I'm doing. And this is something that I feel like people are going to say I cheated here. They're going to say, oh my God, you big fat cheater. But don't be afraid to copy and paste half of your painting to make it symmetrical or to save yourself time. This painting took me hours. I don't know. I'd say probably 8 to 10 hours for this painting over the course of a couple days, including her skin. That's not just her hair, but the whole painting. And you can see here, basically, I just copied her one ponytail from the side, and I'm kind of altering it and using the transform and free to form tools to just kind of, make it so that this chunk of her hair on this side doesn't look absolutely identical to the other one, because that's never any fun. While symmetry is very important to beauty, I believe, in artwork, it shouldn't always be perfectly symmetrical like with her hair, because her face is turned into 3/4, you know, angle. So her hair's not going to be perfectly even because of that. And some people will say, oh my God, that's cheating, that's cheating. But as you can see here, I mean, I created an equal amount of work for myself pretty much. I mean, I just changed the shapes out here, and I did end up repainting the whole thing without using the shade layers, only sampling the colors and blending them back together to make the hair actually look like it's going in the right directions that it should be. And I'm not gonna lie, this was actually fun. And this part of the painting where I was blending her hair together like that, I actually was like, oh my God, I finally figured this thing out. Because even just watching what I was doing, I was like, oh my God, okay, I get it. I've watched all these people paint on YouTube and I get it. And it was something before that I just wasn't getting. I was thinking more in the terms of digital painting with lines instead of painting with values to create forms. And I think that that's a huge step in my artistic journey, and it's really going to help me do a lot better as time goes by. So, you know, the more you know, I guess. But again, in this section, I'm just sampling the colors that I want to put down here and making sure that I have my brush settings set to a good density and a good blending so that they blend together, but it doesn't make a complete flat blend. Because that's not any fun and it doesn't look real to me. And I don't mean this in any offense whatsoever, but that kind of flat shading sometimes reminds me a lot of anime, which is not something that I have any personal interest in, but to each their own. Anime artists are fantastic. I just can't do it, you know, and that's fine. So if you are picking up digital painting and you're looking at the way that I'm painting here and you're like, I just can't do that, that's totally fine. Just find your own way. But you know, I used YouTube as a huge tool in learning. I watch YouTube videos every day on how to get better at art. And I would say that it definitely is showing, you know, in my improvement. This video took me forever to make because my computer is ancient. And since the painting took me so long too, and then I'm having to record my voiceover on my phone, which makes it really interesting. But yeah, so I hope that this video has been, you know, helpful for you in some way. And if not, then you got to watch my process. And you can see here, I go back through and erase and change things all the time because you know, while I get it and it's clicked in my head, I'm still practicing. I'm still learning exactly how to do it. So yeah. And then, of course, my base overall drawing for this piece isn't perfect by any means. And that's one of my biggest problems as an artist as well, as having a really strong, structurally found drawing to work off of. And like I said, I didn't give her any ears because I just didn't. Not because I can't draw ears, because I can. Ears are actually quite easy, and Tim Michael Arts actually kind of gave me a rule that I've been following here of where to place the ear, which has helped me a lot. But for some reason I don't know, I drew the picture and I was in such a hurry to just start painting it because I loved it and the idea that I had for it. And so I just rushed into coloring it. But either way, I'm actually really, really happy with the way that this piece turned out. And I will put the finished image, of course, at the very end of the video for you guys. I do want to please ask you guys to hit that subscribe button if you like my artwork or you thought that this video was in any way, shape, or form helpful, which I don't know if it was. But either way, you guys got to listen to me ramble for, you know, a quarter of an hour of your life. So yes, please hit that thumbs up button if you found this video helpful and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be trying to put out more videos here. I know it's been a little while since I had one out. I am working on getting a new PC so that I can start doing that more often, because right now I'm using my parents' ancient computer and it won't run Photoshop and it won't run any video editing besides Windows Movie Maker, and we'll see if it even renders out. But yeah, so I do want to say thank you for watching, and in this part right here, I don't know why I kept this footage in, but I just wanted to show I'm working on a little tattoo for her and struggling with it, as you can see. But it was fun to work on. This piece was so much fun, and right now it's definitely my favorite piece. So if you do like my art and you want to support me, also head over to my Patreon where you guys can become patrons. And yeah, I'll have all my social media links listed below in the description. And yes, I think that's about it, guys. I do want to say thank you so much for watching. And thank you for subscribing. And thank you to all 80 something of my subscribers. I don't know what it is now, if it's still 81, but that's amazing, guys. Thank you so much. I love each and every one of you. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. So I want to say stay inspired and everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.